Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sami Assad, and with me as always is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, almost springtime listeners.
Greetings to everyone. It is almost springtime, and that is the voice of my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Ben. Ben, can you tell the people where they can find your latest work, please?
Sure, you can find my work at Haggerty, at Motor Trend, and at driving.ca, or as I found out this morning, the Ottawa Sun, which is running a BMW review I wrote for Post Media.
You can find my work at driving.ca and autotrader.ca, as well as driving.ca's YouTube channel, which
it's a lot of .cas. I'm just gonna.
Well, Canada. That's what we got.
You ever think about maybe expanding into like .xyz or .ch or anything like that?
Do you think I have an opportunity?
I think that
you think I haven't pursued such an opportunity?
The internet is nothing if not opportunity.
I'm not sure about that anymore, but
okay.
Ben, we've got some cool cars to talk about this week.
Well, we have one cool car.
Yeah, one cool car, but context of other cool cars.
Well, okay. That's
I want you to take it away with your recent drive of the 2026 Subaru Outback.
Yeah, I finally broke down and got behind the wheel of the Outback. Longtime listeners will know that Sami and I are historically not pleased with the styling turn that this vehicle has taken because, I mean, I'm a wagon lover. I assume Sami is as well. Is that correct?
I mean, not a lover, but appreciator.
Not a lover. You own an Outback, and didn't you also own another Outback?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's a lot of appreciation.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly.
So the big issue for me with this vehicle is that Subaru decided it didn't want to do the one thing it was doing that no one else was doing anymore, and to trade that uniqueness for doing the thing that everyone else was doing.
You're going to have to break it down for not everyone knows exactly the code that you're using here.
The Outback was unique in the sense that it was a wagon, even though it was marketed as an SUV. And yeah, it was big and it rode up off the ground, 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which is, more than most Jeeps. But it still had that long roof shape that really was reminiscent of what the Outback had been initially, which was a taller version of the Legacy wagon. The Legacy wagon is long in the rear view, and the Legacy sedan is gone now too. The Outback outlasted them all and moved on to larger and larger platforms. I own a 2015. Sami owns what, a 22?
2020.
A 2020. So,
and I used to have a 2010 before that.
I had a 98 at one point for a very brief period.
Like every 5 years. Oh, okay.
So all is to say, I'm an Outback fan because I like wagons. They are useful. They look good. They're not SUVs, which to me is important because I like driving things that are different. But I also like the idea of a car company, especially a small one like Subaru, selling something that other people don't have to offer. I mean, the closest we've had to this vehicle would be Volvo with the cross countries.
But those are premium vehicles and they're expensive.
Yeah, they are much more expensive.
They're really expensive to maintain as well. They're a little overcomplicated. They are all that
And
jazz.
if you look at Subaru's lineup, I mean, they already have a semi-traditional SUV in the form of the Forester, which is a boxy shape.
Yeah.
They have
and a 3-row version that is also boxy shape, right?
Sure, which is called what?
Ascent.
The Ascent. And they also have the Crosstrek, which keeps the spirit of a tall riding hatchback alive by just basically being an Impreza with different styling and a taller suspension. And it's perfectly fine. So it's not like Subaru didn't have SUVs, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
It's
but
weird.
They wanted to make their traditionally not an SUV an SUV.
They wanted to make everything all SUVs. That's what the Subaru lineup is now, except for the Impreza and the BRZ, right? There's nothing else.
Yes.
And the Impreza is increasingly a niche vehicle, and the BRZ is definitely a niche vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much longer the BRZ expects to be around once Toyota is like, I'm done with this game, right? Like, that car is built with Toyota, as well as, I guess, their other EVs, but that's a story for a whole other day.
Well, even the new EVs that are coming out are also SUVs, like very clearly traditional SUVs. So all of this to say, the new Outback, my wife, our Outback is her car. Mm-hmm. And when I brought the Outback home, all she could keep saying was that this was an SUV versus what she drove. Exactly. Like she is not a car person. And to her, the difference was stark between the two vehicles, even though they're very similar in size and essentially the same, the same goal. right? Like the mission statement of the vehicle hasn't really changed.
Mhm.
But now the Outback is a rectangle with a rectangle on top, like a smaller rectangle of a greenhouse.
Rectangles on rectangles.
Exactly. And if you think I'm exaggerating, the rectangles go even further. If you get to the wheel wells, there are also more rectangles there in the form of body cladding that have rectangles inside of them as well. So it's very square looking. It looks a little larger, and I think it is a little bit larger. Not much, but it's definitely there. And it totally takes, I mean, in some ways you could say, oh, well, it has the long flat roof. So isn't that enough for you wagon fans? And when are you wagon fans going to die off and let the rest of us live our SUV glory in peace? I don't think it's exactly enough. I do really think that it's a dramatic change in the styling to the point where I'm buying laser discs now for reasons that I can't really explain.
Is this what the segue is going to be? Okay, yes.
And as a result, I needed to pick up a television to plug into my Laserdisc player from 1982.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought one locally from an older man who lives about 15 minutes away. And he's also an Outback owner. And when I showed up with the new Outback, he's telling me, we're looking at the car, and he's like, I've had like 2 or 3 of these in a row. And he's like, I will not be buying this one. He's like, and now that I've seen it up close and seen it inside, I am sure that I will not be returning my current Outback. I'm probably going to buy the lease and keep that.
Right.
And I feel like there must be more than just this guy out there, Sami.
Yeah, I think that's true. I definitely agree with that. I mean, I have the previous gen, the 6th gen. This is 7th, I believe. You have 5th. And I think I had 4th as well. And this just feels, I mean, looking at it, it looks like a totally different car. I get, design language change, but there's more to design language that is changing about this car. Exterior design, we already talked about, really, rectangles on rectangles. Rectangles is not really like, I don't think it's an Outback design language, but the interior, I think everyone's sleeping on the interior of this thing.
The interior is very nice.
It looks like a huge upgrade over mine.
It is quite a nice vehicle inside. I had
Which trim did you have?
Well, in Canada, it's called, I believe, Touring XT, which is the top tier. And in the United States, let me look because I know the name is different. Let me find it here. I'm sorry. That's the American one, is Touring XT. I think in Canada it's Premier. But I have to double check that.
Okay.
And it's Premier XT. They're exactly the same. There's no differences. So this comes with the 260 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder. And the difference between so in the US, the Wilderness is the next trim down.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, there's something in between Wilderness and Touring. It's called Limited. And the biggest difference is the Limited gets you a leather interior. The Touring XT gets you Napa leather.
Yeah.
And ventilated front seats. And you're paying like $3,000 more for that. So I don't know.
Vented seats are nice.
They're nice. And I have to say the leather is very nice. I had a brown color, which I appreciated. I thought it was
like deep dark brown or like light brown.
No, like butterscotch.
Caramelly brown. Yeah, butterscotch.
Well, like a darker butterscotch, not like the. No, but there's the Audi baseball seats that had like that lighter butterscotch color.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like that. It's
and then there are like Volvo ones, which are basically orange.
Yeah, the Volvo ones are like a kind of seat where I would not sit inside of them if I was wearing white pants, because I feel like they would instantly, like, that color is so searing. It must just rub off right away.
Yeah.
So the interior is quite nice. It is an upgrade, I think, in a lot of ways over the older Subaru, but the older Subaru wasn't bad, was it? Like, do you hate your infotainment system, Sami?
Look, I will say that it's not and first of all, actually, I will preface anything I say about my infotainment system with the fact that I use Android Auto pretty much exclusively. I get in there, I plug in my phone, and I use the Android Auto interface. When I first bought the car, which was in 2024, I believe, 24, 23, Ben.
I can't remember for you. I do my best.
Anyways, when I first got the car, the Android Auto interface only took up half of the screen space, and the other half of the screen was just blank. And I don't mean that like it was in the middle of the screen. It was on top, rectangle, and then bottom, blank rectangle. Really ugly. But then they updated it, and it takes up the full screen. I really like it. Works really fine. I have heard that people have had really big usability issues with this touchscreen because
I've heard that as well.
It can be a bit laggy, and there are some controls that just are through the touchscreen. Things like heated seats and fine adjustment of the HVAC settings need to be done through the touchscreen, which can be a little bit annoying. But the good news about it is that none of those like buttons like move around on the screen. They're always like in a static location, so it never really has caused me any issues yet. And the more you use it, the more you realize sometimes like HVAC is kind of like a set and forget kind of button. You either put it on.
It is in certain seasons of the year.
Yeah, but on longer winter and summer, it's either like always hot or always cold.
No, but I mean on longer trips, HVAC you fiddle with it. Yeah, because I find interiors dry out, or like you have condensation, or maybe you just I often find myself either heating up and then turning it down and then getting cold and then turning it back up again.
I do that. I put mine on and then I turn the whole HVAC off, and then I have to deal with fogging up, and I have to turn it back on.
And you just feel dumb and you're mad at yourself and you stop and you just cry for a bit. And I have some good news for you. The HVAC and heated seat controls and all of that are now hard buttons.
They're all hard buttons.
They're all hard buttons. There is not like they're all under. So the screen is an improvement in a couple of ways. First,
it's horizontal now? Isn't that the case?
I'm going to get to that.
Oh, whoops.
The first thing is it divorces those controls. So you have dials, you have buttons, you have separate HVAC with its own little LCD screen, and all of that works really well. And I can use it while I'm wearing gloves. And the heated steering control is still that giant button on the steering wheel.
Mine is not a button. It's like a weird little like pseudo paddle.
It's a slab. Yeah, it's like a slab of like half a paddle on one side on the bottom. So that's that. The thing I like about the screens is there's two of them. They're separate. One is the gauge cluster. One is almost a 4:3 type of arrangement, like in terms of ratio. Okay. And they're both in binnacles. They're not just plastic stacked on the dash. They both have surrounds. They're recessed. The one for the infotainment system has like an angle on the right side to kind of like angle it down as a rounded top that sticks up over the binnacle for the gauge cluster. So there's actual design going on here, Sami.
That's different for Subaru. Let's be clear. Not often Subaru puts some effort in their design. I'm looking at it now. You're right. There's like
Thanks for validating my experience. That's what I was looking for.
There are surrounds to the screens, which is very interesting.
And in between, there's a volume control all by itself.
Yeah, it doesn't look right. Actually, I don't think this looks good.
But I like it more than almost all of the just here's a screen, it's on the dash, knock yourself out.
But I do think the HVAC setup is extremely good, with the exception of what looks like a USB port.
There's two down there. There's a power one and there's a energy one.
Sticks out of the bottom of it like that.
But it makes sense because it's in the cubby where you would put your phone.
Yes.
So I can't get mad at that.
Okay.
The rest of the interior is good. It's got like remote tumble down for the rear seats. There's like so many
remote folding rear seats.
Yeah, there's like a release in the trunk. So like if you're in the trunk, you can pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
right.
Okay. Tumble down. Yeah.
I got that. Okay, we got that. I have that in mind. You must have that in yours.
There's I don't know. There's also
I think I had it in my old one. You gotta have it.
There's also I'm not saying I don't. I just don't drive the car that often. So like for that purpose. There's lots of hooks in the back, like if you want to hang bags and stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. There's way more hooks than
there's a trio of like tie downs that are color coded. I don't know why.
All about?
I don't know.
Explain.
I can't. I don't know.
Do more.
I tried to figure it out. We were like, what's that all about? You see the colors? Are they in the other shots too? It's not just something
see colors.
So my tester, and I don't know if this was left in because it was a delivery thing. It has a green sticker, a brown sticker, and a blue sticker next to each of the tie downs. Okay. And that's in case, I guess, if you look from one side of the vehicle to the other and you forget and you're trying to line them up, this helps you out.
Yes, very nice.
The cladding on the car is a little intense.
The cladding?
Yeah, I think that the cladding on the wheel wells looks bad. I think the bumper in the back is not great. It kind of looks cheap. But over the course of the week, I became accustomed to the styling. And I think with the right wheels, it looks fine. But it's not what I want. What I want is a wagon. So what I'm saying is, I don't think Subaru messed up in terms of like the design of this vehicle. I think it's a little polarizing, but I understand what they were trying to achieve. And I think it's largely cohesive and successful.
Okay.
I think the details let it down on the outside.
Weird.
In a way that the interior doesn't. And it's not what I want.
There's a few things I want to talk about first. I think you might not have the answer to one of these questions.
I mean,
one of my
guaranteed.
favorite things about my Outback and the previous Outback is that it has a storage area for the cargo cover under the floor of the trunk area.
Mine didn't have a cargo cover, so maybe that's where it was.
It's hiding from you and nobody told you.
Exactly.
Okay. The other thing that I have is that there are some, you're right about the exterior details being the like downfall of the design of this car. There's this really weird thing going on the, I think it's the C-pillar. It's kind of like a C-pillar where like a piece of body color.
It's just floating there.
It's floating.
It's a piece of plastic.
It doesn't touch the roof line.
Yeah.
Why did they make that decision? I don't love that at all. If they make that whole area black, it would look okay.
What about the three rectangles or squares on the D pillar at the back before the hatch? Like reminiscent of like an early 2000s Suburban? I don't.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. It looks, there's a dated element to the exterior, to some of the exterior elements. There's a dated element to the exterior features, like the details, and I think they've really got to catch up with that. That is not. Yeah,
are you saying it's bad to have a dated design that was brand new for this year?
No, I mean, I think
no, that's okay.
No, like, let's be clear. They're not going for nostalgia here, right? Like, there's like, that's the problem that I'm having. It's okay when you're doing like a dated design, or like data design cues for like nostalgic reasons or something like that. But the fact that the Outback has gone from a wagon, and a very definitive wagon, to this profile, and boxy, like, overall dimensions makes it seem like they don't understand what made an Outback an Outback.
So it's not cheap when you buy it in this trim.
Okay.
It's $49,000 in the US.
Yeah.
It starts around 35, I believe. Yeah. 34,995.
Yeah.
In the Canada, the pricing is,
holy moly. Actually, we should talk about that. Give me a minute. The like mid-trim version of this car is $10,000 more expensive than the base.
$7,000.
$7,000.
Are we talking in Canada?
No, I'm talking US.
Okay.
So premium is 35, touring is 45. And am I wrong in saying touring doesn't have the other engine either, the upgraded engine?
No, you only get the upgraded engine with XT models and the Wilderness.
That's really weird though. Sorry. Okay then. Fine. I take it back, because the engine is really just like an extra like $2,000 or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you go from touring to Wilderness, you're actually dropping in price.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you get the turbo engine with a little bit of a cash saved.
Okay, sorry. It's just a really weird lineup of vehicles. They clearly dropped a standard model, a base model.
But the way it is like, you know, I'm talking about how I have the top tier model Touring XT. Mm-hmm. You can get all of the stuff that I have in the Touring with the 4-cylinder engine if you want. Sorry, the non-turbo engine.
But for a savings of $2,000, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't driven the base. I haven't driven any of these Outbacks. But my experience with the XT engine and the non-XT engines is that the XT engine, once you drive the XT engine, there's no reason for you cannot go back to the 2.5.
The only thing I think that might be compelling is some people might look at the fuel mileage. If you look at the fuel mileage,
have they improved it at all? Because mine is awful.
It's 31 miles per gallon highway and 25 city for the 4-cylinder, and then Subaru claims 27 highway and 21 city for the turbo.
Okay.
Keep saying 4-cylinder.
If you promise not to laugh at me, I will tell you what I'm currently achieving in my winter drive of my 2020 Outback XT.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Under 20 miles per gallon.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, I drive all city. Basically, like 90% or 80% of my drive these days is all city.
So I got 11.1 liters per 100 kilometers.
Yeah, that's still better than me, but you're all out there. You're out there.
I am. I'm way out there. Let me see what that is in miles per gallon. I want to say it's like 22 or something.
Yeah.
Let me check. Yeah, it's 21.3. So I'm really close to... I mean, if you look at what Subaru's advertising and then consider the fact that it's wintertime, I'm not that far off. But maybe if you're commuting, you might want to get a few extra miles per gallon. It's hard to say.
At my best, I've gotten, I think 11 liters per 100 kilometers. And that's like all road trip, all cottage driving. I don't think I couldn't get much better than that.
What's really funny is, and I don't get this, if you look at the ordering tool for the American side. We didn't talk Canadian pricing quickly. It's 43 to start and 54 at the top. The Canadian and the US pricing, it's pretty close. I would say the Canadians are getting a better deal on this vehicle because if I'm paying 49 US after delivery, but I'm only paying 54 Canadian, that's not an exchange rate there. That's an actual deal. Is it still
being made in Indiana? Isn't that where the old one was made?
I would assume so, yeah. But what's funny about the build tool on the US side is at the bottom, they have a little thing that says available in, and then it goes gas. And I assume that's because they have a hybrid model for some of their vehicles, but that's written for all of the Outbacks, all 6 of the trims. But then if you get to wilderness, it says available in gas and then wilderness. What is wilderness? What am I getting there?
You're getting something else, obviously.
There's a little icon that looks like a bar graph that's made of gold.
It's not being made anymore in Indiana.
No, where's it being made?
I don't know, but according to Wikipedia, they stopped making it in October.
Why is that?
I don't know. Where could this be made? That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it's made on an oil rig that's anchored in international waters.
You really think that? You can't lead our listeners astray like that.
You can't tell me what I can't do in international waters, Sami. There's another reason why you might want the turbo version of this vehicle, and that is this is actually fun to drive.
They say Japan.
Okay. We're moving on.
Okay.
The last Outback, the one that you have, Sami, not really fun to drive, just very normal to drive, I would think.
Yeah, very normal to drive. Very, very accommodating in every possible way, but nothing standout.
The new one is fun.
Come on.
I had it on very snowy, gravelly roads, and it handled much better than I thought. It was willing to steer with the throttle if I wanted it to. But if you didn't want it to, it's totally cool with that too. And it will just do normal driving stuff when you want it to. I was actually able to smile while I was driving this vehicle.
No way.
That does not happen in most SUVs.
No SUVs. But I think that has always been a trait of the Outback is that it might not be, look, let's be clear. 4th, 5th, and 6th generation Outbacks are like, they're more SUV.
They're very large, heavy wagons.
Yeah.
This felt like something that had been engineered to offer a enthusiast level driving experience to a degree. Now, throttle, the response is good from the engine. It's not amazing. It has paddle shifters for the CVT. They're adequate. They're not incredible, but just the overall package, it was enjoyable. And if you don't want to do that, if you just want to, there's no real driving modes in the vehicle except for X mode.
I love that about the Outback.
So the X mode is it intended to handle really slippery conditions. And it doesn't, I think that some versions of X mode have you can choose between different types of driving.
Deep snow and deep mud.
Yeah.
Or
I didn't do any of that. I just turned X mode on and I tried it out. The cool thing about X mode is it only works up to 18 miles per hour.
It's mostly for getting out unstuck, I think.
Yeah. The cool thing about that cutoff is, let's say you're at an intersection and it's slippery and you turn X mode on and you pull away from the intersection. Once you get up to speed, it turns off. And all of a sudden, all the electronic trickery that was controlling the traction control and the torque management for the all-wheel drive system and throttle response to give you the most traction possible, that all disappears.
Okay.
And you can just drive normally. But when you slow down again, X mode comes back.
Automatically?
Yes.
That's actually very clever.
It's
I like that.
Very clever. And it's so great if you're driving on a really terrible day.
So it really is like a drive mode and not like a I'm stuck, help me mode. That's cool.
It's perfect for like just having the worst traction conditions, and you still have to get to work, and you don't want to have to turn X mode on and off. And it's a blast. Like I really appreciate that kind of thinking. Yeah, I think past versions of X mode did not do that, if I remember
I'll have
correctly.
to check, but no, that does not sound like something I frequently did. I will say you did have the car in its peak conditions, like Outbacks and all Subarus really, except for the BRZ. Really love being in the snow with good winter tires on.
Yeah.
They just become different animals. They like to become different cars in the snow. They really are. Like, I know it sounds like we've drank the Kool-Aid, the marketing Kool-Aid, but like once I drove my 2010 in the snow with some winter tires, I changed my mind entirely about the brand. I was like, this is insane. This is just it's a tank in the snow, and it listens to everything that you're doing, and it translates what you want to do in the snow into what actually can happen. So I really appreciate that. Their tuning in terms of how they get things done in slippery conditions, I think is maybe second to none.
I also did something maybe a bit dumb with the Outback, and that's I found a field that was completely unplowed and had not been plowed all winter.
Oh yeah, you got stuck.
No, I didn't get stuck, but you spoiled it now. You spoiled it now. And I had to plow through a snowbank to get into this field. And I drove through 6 to 18 inches of unplowed snow in a field just to
6
see.
to 18 inches?
Yes.
Like of height?
Yeah. Basically like half a foot to a foot and a half, depending on where the drifts were. And in X mode, the vehicle had no problems. The only time things got a little iffy, where I felt like maybe I had made a mistake, I was driving and then I stopped because I had gone far enough into this field, and I'm like, okay, time to turn around. And then the vehicle was like, you're not turning around because like you're in a slippery condition and the wheels are just going to spin. So what I did was I just rocked it back and forth gently, and I mean very gently. I found the traction
basically
again.
Just putting it in gear and in drive in reverse.
Yeah, and then I backed up into my ruts and I drove out again through my ruts, and there was no problem. So cool. I was really impressed with its ability to do that. And I know you're thinking, who's going to do this kind of thing? Like, people don't really go off-roading in their Outback. But if you live where I do, or you live even more remotely than I do, and you're going to, say, a ski chalet or something, or a cabin, or you just wake up really early and the plows aren't out yet, this is the kind of snow you might encounter on a road. So its ability to deal with that without freaking out was impressive.
I'm always worried that when I say these kinds of things, I'm going to get called out by somebody with like a Ford Escape or something and be like, my Ford Escape can do this.
Well, I mean, there are people who have done the Rubicon Trail in a Crown Victoria. So
yeah, I mean, I've done Moab in a Mazda CX-5. Like, it's an interesting, I don't know. It catches me off guard as to whether or not we're
You did Moab in a Mazda CX-5?
Parts of Moab, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, getting back to
cool or what?
I'm just surprised. I mean, you have so many secrets.
Yeah, I remember doing that, and the Jeep tour that was there was in our way, and we were in a hurry. And they got mad at us for asking them to move over.
They got mad at you for being too comfortable.
Yeah.
There's excuse me, a couple other things I wanted to talk about with the Outback.
Yeah.
Eyesight did something weird, where when I would turn it on. Not necessarily the first time that day, but like when it was cold, if I went inside to like at a grocery store and came back out and I turned the vehicle on, eyesight would be disabled. And it would be disabled for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then the disabling would go away. And for those who aren't familiar, eyesight is the cameras at the top of the windshield that control all of the advanced driver's assistance that's inside the vehicle. So like adaptive cruise control and, lane monitoring, all that stuff. My suspicion is that something was fogging up. But when I would get outside and look at the windshield to see where the cameras are, I saw no fog. Sometimes you can actually see condensation there, but it wasn't the case with this. So the only thing I can figure is that the camera lenses themselves must have been fogged up. This is weird in the sense that I've never had this happen in any other Subaru. Sami, have you encountered this problem where like every single time you turn on your Outback, it disables eyesight until something magical happens and it comes back?
No, I haven't had that happen, but I do have days where the sun is, especially this past week actually, where the sun is really low in the morning and the roads are very like glossy, I think is the best way to describe them. They're like covered in water or ice.
Yeah, the glare makes a problem.
And immediately, like I'm telling you, as soon as I get out of my driveway, eyesight's like, no thanks, bro. You're on your own here.
So this is a different problem because it happens with ignition on and regardless of where the sun is. And
That's
sometimes
so
there's
weird.
no sun. Sometimes it's nighttime. So like that's unusual. Maybe that's a software issue. It's something worth keeping in mind if you're going to buy one of these cars. The other issue I had was the heated steering wheel. On the day I was returning the vehicle, I was wearing gloves and it's early morning and it wasn't that cold, but it was cold enough to need both of these things on, gloves and the heat. Okay. And I'm driving and like I touched the bottom of the steering wheel with my glove on and I'm like, whoa, that's really hot. And I don't think anything of it. And then I try to touch it again and it's really hot. And I take my glove off and the bottom of the steering wheel was so hot, I could not touch it with my bare hands.
Oh my God.
The top was totally normal. In fact, maybe a little less warm than I wanted it to be. I had to turn it off and wait like 5 minutes for it to cool down before, like, I needed oven mitts to touch the steering wheel. Like, that's how bad it was. That's never happened to me in a car before either. And it didn't happen to me any other days of the week when I was using this feature. So I don't know what happened.
That's insane. I don't have that. I haven't had that issue. In fact, I find my... is there multiple levels to this?
No, it's just one button and it's on.
It's so funny. I find that the weirdest thing. I do find that I have to turn it off like halfway through a drive, but mine only does the edge, like the 9 and 3 basically of the steering wheel.
Well, this does, the bottom is done like the surface of the sun, and then 10 and 2 is done like a warm pot roast, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But bottom line, I liked this car.
It drives better. You like this engine, same transmission basically as the previous model, right? Like
you tell me.
A 2.4. Let me double check.
It's the same on paper. I don't know if there's any details that have been changed. But I liked the vehicle overall, which really surprised me because I was very much put off by the looks from day one. And a couple weeks before this podcast recording, I had sent Sami a picture of the first one I saw in the wild in the parking lot of a supermarket that had Steelies on it, and it looked awful.
Yeah.
It was like a mishmash of styling that just didn't work. And I was like, wow, I am very surprised by how poorly this translates in real life. And then I get this one and I'm seemingly all in on the vehicle itself and I'm able to forgive the styling. So, I mean, no one buys wagons. Everyone wants SUVs. I guess Subaru is chasing the money. It makes sense from a business perspective, but from the other side of that business perspective, you're going to lose your longtime buyers who were with you because you wanted a wagon. Like people like me, people like you. I don't know what you're going to do, Sami, when you're Outback, when everything needs to be re-upped, where you're going to go.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't know how I would replace this Outback with this current one. I don't think that's in the cards. I don't think that's a possibility.
It's like at that point you start looking at other brands because the thing you liked about this brand is gone, right? Like,
unless it really does blow me away in the driving dynamics, it would have to be a huge sell though. I mean, I don't know. Or like a huge compromise on my end, basically, to say that, it's an appliance of a car. Who cares what it looks like?
But then you're opening up to anything. If that's your attitude, then see, that's the thing.
Just get a RAV4, right?
Subaru has taken what was unique about the vehicle, jettisoned it, and now it's on a playing field with, I don't know, 24 other models.
Yeah.
And that's not great. I don't think. That feels like a really big gamble. Because you could produce something that's really good, like this vehicle, which is really good, but just people don't notice, or they don't care, or they go to Toyota because they have more dealers, or they had a Toyota in the past. There's nothing to pry them away from what they already have if you're not different anymore, I guess is what I'm saying. So you only have something to lose, it feels like.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that's a misstep. Like, I think that's the only way I can describe it. I think it is a concern that Subaru can... I guess they're saying our capability is what people bought the Outback for, and we still have that.
We know that's not true, though, because if that were true, then Ascents would be flying off the shelf and Foresters would be flying off the shelf. And Outback was clearly more popular than either of those models.
Yeah.
The other weird thing about
Is
this,
Forester not a big seller? I always thought that
no, it
Forester
sells
was a big
fine. I don't think it's a disappointment, but I do think the Outback outperforms it.
And the other one to talk about is the fact that I too have seen actually plenty of these on the road already. So it seems like it's already quite popular.
The other weird thing about the current moment is that Ford has been recently talking about how they're going to start bringing back actual cars instead of SUVs, and they want to make cheap cars that people can afford to buy. If that's really a thing, and if large companies like Ford are like, we're going to lean away from the SUV zeitgeist that's driven the industry for the last 15 years, Subaru is going in the opposite direction of that. And is that going to be, is that good? I don't know.
That's I don't know. Subaru's already, has traditionally only had very few cars anyways.
No, I mean, they've had Impreza and the Legacy.
Yeah.
But they had like 50% of their lineup was cars. Right? If you have the BRZ, the Impreza, and the Legacy, at one point, that's like half of what they had to offer.
I guess so.
And now it's just like two of those. And perhaps one of those in the very near future. So I don't know. I mean, Outback doesn't have to do Subaru doesn't have to do what Ford is doing, but it's like, and I don't necessarily trust that Ford knows where the future is going, because we've seen how flip-floppy they've been on EVs and things like that.
Well, this is a flip-flop from them as well. I mean, I think it was 6 years ago. It's got to be 6 years ago when they said that cars are not in their brand anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they joined General Motors and kind of wiping that out. And meanwhile, Toyota and Honda is still selling lots of cars. Like it's still happening for them.
Even Nissan still has an Altima on the fleet on the road these days.
Yeah,
right?
but I feel like Nissan is mostly a price play. I think that's their thing.
But I mean, you need to have that. There needs to be that nuance in that diversity in the lineup. Not everyone can be buying, if they want a car. Not everyone can be buying the $35,000 one. They might want the $25,000.
And I think the other problem for Ford is they never had a entry level SUV that was truly cheap. Like they had the Maverick, which was cheap for like 2 seconds, and then
how dare you throw the EcoSport under the bus?
See, the EcoSport was a complete non-starter, right? It was just not competitive.
Not have been sold, yeah.
But you look at Nissan, and they've always had affordable SUVs that people wanted. GM has some extremely great affordable SUVs.
That's fair, yeah.
And Ford doesn't have that. They have the Escape, which is good, and now it's gone. They have the Bronco Sport, which is good, and now it's gone. But they're not entry level. Like they are, but they're not super cheap subcompacts. And so that might be Ford looking at their lineup and going, do we want to cut into Bronco sales with a cheaper SUV, or do we want to create new business with a car? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a business guru. I don't necessarily have the answers here. That's Sami's department.
I'm less of a business guru than you think I am.
But you still applied for the business department job, and you got it, and now it's yours.
Yes. I'm just curious as to how Subaru. I'm scared that Subaru will take this design language and apply it across the board. If the Crosstrek comes out looking like this, in terms of like, it's going to be a little mini. It's going to be basically a Bronco Sport in terms of boxiness but with more body cladding. I'm going to be really like turned off. Like
it seems like hard for them to do that because the Crosstrek is based on the Impreza, right?
But for how much longer? I mean, the Impreza doesn't mean I think the Impreza doesn't mean anything.
No, but it means something in terms of shared costs of production. So if they get rid of the Impreza, like, is there really an argument to get rid of the Impreza if the tooling is all there for it? It's already shared, and they do have some customers. I mean, I say this knowing that this is the company that stopped selling a hatchback version of the WRX, even though it was 50% of sales, and they continued to sell a hatchback version of the Impreza. So decisions can be weird.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. It's, I've always felt that Subaru was a like slow and steady kind of automaker. Their major deficiencies were in terms of exterior design, in my perspective, and I could always trust their engineering to pull them out of like whatever weird exterior design funk they're in.
Whatever weird B9 Tribeca.
Yeah, and I'm now concerned that they're really trying to do something different, when all along they've been a different the different automaker.
So
And
different for them might mean mainstream. To everyone
yeah,
else.
which is really not. I don't know.
I can
Doesn't
see
seem
why
to
you're
make
worried.
sense.
I can see why you're worried. That's all I really have to say about the Outback.
That's all I want to say about the Outback. It's not pretty, man. I keep looking at it. It's not pretty.
It's fine, but it's not pretty. It's fine. It's okay.
Anything else you want to talk about this week?
No, I'm a dry husk.
I would prefer our people who are listening, our listeners, that's what we would call us. I would prefer our people who are listening, head on over to our website, unnamedautomotivepodcast.com. You can find all of our previous episodes on that website. Huge list of episodes. We don't do anything crazy like lock them behind a paywall.
We've had to stop counting.
And we've stopped counting how many previous episodes we have.
I think so.
And in addition to that, you can subscribe to our podcast using some buttons at the top of the page. But more important than that, you can hit the contact form. You fill it out. It lands in our inbox. We love hearing from you, our listeners. Send us your questions. Send us your comments. Send us your thoughts on whether Subaru is a traditionally weird automaker.
Would you buy this new Outback? I want to find out what people actually think.
And how many you've seen already.
Yeah, I mean, we already have a Dodge Hornet count going.
Yes, actually, I do have somebody messaging. Yes, shout out Stefan.
If we do have an Outback count, it's going to have to be for a very short duration because eventually they will be out there.
I agree.
But
additionally, if you want to email us the old-fashioned way without going through our website or anything like that, hit us up. It's benjamin@benjaminhunting.com or social media. I think you can find us on Instagram at Sami_ha, like you're laughing, and at Hunting Benjamin.
Sammy, what are you going to be talking about next week?
I'm going to get my hands on the 2026 Volkswagen Atlas, a big 3-row SUV, something we haven't driven in a really long time, and I can't wait to tell you about it.
I'm going to be talking about the Hyundai Elantra N-Line.
Elantra N-Line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
It's a car. It's a car, Sammy.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you later.